So a couple of different methods for you now on how to put sequins down, because you can't have too many sequins on things at the end of the day. So I've got a selection here. Now they come in all sorts of shapes and sizes, sequins, and really beautiful different ones. So I've just got a few here. This is what you probably know as sequins, these round ones here. And you can get either flat ones like these ones or faceted ones that have actually like a cup shape. Here's another faceted one here, and sequins are made by being stamped out, so the shape is stamped, so it means you can get all sorts of different interesting shapes. So we've got some kind of lozenge shaped ones here, and there's some flower shapes, and there's a cup flower one, so all sorts of different things going on here with the sequins. So I'm going to show you a few methods on how to put these down. So I'm just using an ordinary strong sewing cotton. Try and match the cotton to the colour of your sequins if you can. So I'll just show you first basic method of how to put down a single sequin. So I'm just starting my thread off on the side of the shape here. Just put 3 holding stitches in place, so that will hold the end of the thread. Now the simplest way is just to put a couple of stitches over the sequin. So if you put the needle in the fabric where you want the middle of the sequin to sit. So let's just do a plain one first, I think, and just thread the sequin on to the needle and then pull that through. So that will be the middle of the sequin, and then just a couple of stitches down at the side. So try not to come too far out, because you'll see that thread sticking out. So just down at the side of the sequin, so straight up in the middle, straight down the side. Now it will jump about a little bit, so just go slowly, make sure it's sitting where you want it to sit. Now you can just put one down, and that just means that edge just comes up a little bit, which will come into its own later. I'll show you that in a second. But just to secure that, you can then come up the other side of the sequin and down into the middle. And that's just 2 stitches, and that will just keep your sequin nice and flat. If you want to put 3 stitches in, you can do that. In fact, if I show you on this nice flower shape, I'm going to move that because it's hitting the edge of my shape. I didn't realise how big they were. So I'll just move that across to the middle. In fact, if we do it like that, we can see it before. So coming up in the middle to position my sequin in the right place, and then I can actually go down between the petals on this one. And if I go, I could go every one, or I can do every other one. You could make this stitching a feature if you wanted to, and actually do it in a gold thread or something so you can see it. So 3 stitches is a little bit more secure. If you lose 1 stitch, it's not going to go anywhere. So if you've got a larger sequin or a shape like that, you can do your 3 stitches. And then I'll just do one of these interesting shapes. Now this one's actually got a hole in each end, so you need to come up where you want the end of that to sit. Now you can do this in a couple of ways. So you can put 2 stitches, which is actually more secure. So I'm just going slightly to the side of this one. I'll pull that down slowly, hopefully you can see that. There. And then another one to the other side. Into the hole. There. So you've got a little V shape of stitching there. It's nothing worse. You've ever bought clothes and the sequins all drop off and they get everywhere, which is really annoying. So if you're stitching them on by hand, it's worth just making them a little bit more secure. So 2 stitches in the end of that will make that one really secure. So we're just holding them down singly with stitches, which means you can arrange them in patterns and put them in any order, in any position you want, because you're just doing them on their own. So another nice way to put these down is with a bead. So I'm going to do this nice flower one. So this method, you don't see any of the stitches. None of these stitches will show. You'll just see the sequin, but it does have a bead in the centre. So I've threaded on this, got really nice pretty flower sequin here, which is actually standing up a bit, which is nice. And then I'm going to thread a bead onto my needle. Now it is important that the bead is bigger than the hole in the sequin, or it will just fall straight off. So just check it, the bead is bigger than the hole. Now slide that bead down to the bottom, like so. Now the important bit here is to take the needle back through the hole in the sequin. So the thread is going around the beads. If I bring this down slowly, there we go. So it's come up through the sequin, around the bead and back through the sequin. And you can just see, if I just tug on that now, how it's got a nice little flower centre to it. You can't see the stitches. You've just got that bead holding on the sequin. So I'll do that again with a different one. Let's pick this nice pink one. So where you want the centre of your sequin to sit, thread on a bead, slide it down, and then the needle doesn't go back through the bead, it misses out the bead and goes back through the middle of the sequin. So that thread goes around the bead, and it's the bead that you're sewing on that's holding the sequin in place, really. So that's why the bead needs to not go through the hole in the sequin. So just one more of those. Do you want to put them both on together? You can put them both on together. Make sure you miss the bead out and the needle goes back through the hole in the sequin. So there's two methods to put them down singly, and there's just one other thing that I'm going to show you, and that's how to put them down in a row. You might want to put a border of them around something, or create your design with lots of sequins rather than single ones. So I'm going to change sequin here. This is best done with the flat sequins. The faceted ones like this, the cup sequins, it doesn't work with, because the sequins will need to sit on top of each other. So we're going to put our first sequin in place, and I'm going to work a row down the centre of this petal. So there's the centre of my sequin. Now I'm not going to bring the needle through here, I just want to make sure that's in position. So I'm going to take the needle out and now actually come up at the edge of the sequin and go down into the middle. So the other way around this time, but I just wanted to make sure that was in the right place. So it's got one stitch holding it down. You'll notice I'm using the same colour as my sequin. We shouldn't see these stitches, but just in case. So just one stitch for this. So I've come up on the edge, down in the middle, and then my next sequin is actually going to cover that first one. So it's up on the edge. It's going to overlap by half. So take the sequin out, the needle is going to go down on the edge there. So it's going to go through the middle and on the edge of that sequin. And they overlap each other. So you need to come up half the diameter of the sequin away. And then down through the middle, which is the end of that previous one. Try and keep them in the centre. You can just place that in position if you're not sure. You can thread that on if you like. And back down at the end. Just make sure that flips over. So half the sequin ahead, thread the sequin on, let it lie flat. Down at the end of the previous sequin and just make sure you flip that one over so it sits on top, and each one overlaps the previous one. So a nice secure way of putting lots of sequins down together. And you can see now why they need to be flat ones as well, why the cup ones won't work. you don't flip it down, you just end up with one next to it. So just flip that over and it ends up on top. Just put a couple more on. And then if you want to just secure that last one in place, because each sequin's holding down the sequin before, but there's nothing holding the last one down. So if you actually come up through the middle of that penultimate sequin, the one before, and then you can go back down in the middle of the end one, and that just secures the end one in place. So each one's holding down the other one. So 3 different ways to put down sequins.